Francisco Lindor, the best shortstop in baseball, on the Cleveland Indians, and somehow this guy is available for trade. The Cleveland Indians have made it very clear they are going to be trading Francisco Lindor this offseason. Come opening day, he should not be the shortstop of the Cleveland Indians any longer. So when the best shortstop in baseball hits the trade market and is readily available, you know a lot of teams are going to be interested. So in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, in my opinion, the 10 teams that have the best chance to trade for Francisco Lindor, or at least teams that I think should trade for him or can trade for him. Now, obviously, probably most teams in baseball would like shortstops, but there are also a lot of teams that have really good shortstops now. There is a plethora of talent at the position. Still doesn't mean he's not valuable. Still doesn't mean he's not wanted. So before I get going into telling you about all the teams that could go after Francisco Lindor, make sure to drop a like on this video. 3,000 likes on this video, and I'll do a video similar to this for JT Realmuto or George Springer. Subscribe to the channel if you are new and you enjoy the content. Click that sub button, join the team. Remember to get in the comment section down below. Give me your opinion as to who you think has the best chance to trade for Francisco Lindor. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, second channel, and Twitch. Links, as always, are in the description to all my social media. And, you know, quick merch plug. This is some old merch, but it's still up on the site, teespring.com/GiraffeNeckMarc stores. I don't know, it's in the description. I'm going to take 25% off everything because we're coming out with new merch very soon. Keep an eye out for that. So in no particular order, let's talk about the first team that I think has a really good chance to trade for Francisco Lindor and could even be considered the favorite by some around baseball, not necessarily me, the New York Mets. Now, I would love for the Mets to get Francisco Lindor, the best shortstop in baseball. We have kind of been missing a shortstop. Yes, Jimenez was great defensively, but the bat is just not there yet. And honestly, if it means that we're going to get Francisco Lindor, I have no problem trading Jimenez or Rosario. We are probably going to keep one of them, to be fair. We'd probably also have to move another bat, either being Brandon Nimmo or JD Davis, and probably a pitcher somewhere. Now, it's not going to be a top-of-the-line pitcher. It's probably going to be a prospect or two, but the Mets definitely have enough pieces that the Indians would be interested in order to get Francisco Lindor. They obviously have to make sure that they extend him, and that's pretty much with every single team here. If you're trading for Lindor, you're trading all these prospects and players, you got to make sure you keep him there for the future. And I think Francisco Lindor would be happy to be in New York. He's one of the most personable and marketable players in Major League Baseball. The dude is just a great face for the game. I think the Mets would love to have him be a part of that future. Steve Cohen's in now. They got the money. You know he would spend it on good players like Francisco Lindor. Why not go out and trade for him? Now, the only thing that might be holding back the Mets from trading for Francisco Lindor is, one, they're not going to have the best package. I don't think on paper they're going to be able to give the best deal. And two, next season there are a lot of great shortstops in the free agent market, and this is kind of the issue with trading Lindor now. Lindor is a free agent, Correa is a free agent, Baez is a free agent, Story is a free agent, Seager's a free agent. You could make an argument that those are 5 of the top, 7 shortstops in baseball. And honestly, it's about 5 of the top 10, not to mention some other guys I'll be hitting free agency. The market's loaded. So would it be the right time to make this trade? Regardless, I think the Mets are definitely in, and there is a chance that they could trade for Francisco Lindor, and it would help that team out a lot. Next up, I'm going to go out west, and I'm going to talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers in what would be a nightmare scenario. If the Los Angeles Dodgers traded for Francisco Lindor, they would become the new New York Yankees. They would arguably have to be the new evil empire, because if they get Lindor on a team that already has Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, Max Muncy, Will Smith, the pitching, Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May, all these guys, this team could be scary. And there is a possibility that they could do this without having to trade Corey Seager. You could trade Gavin Lux. You could trade Kybert Ruiz. You could trade Dustin May. You could trade Gonsolin. They have an absolutely loaded farm system full of players who are ready to be at the major league level or take over for a guy who's been there already. There's a way that the Dodgers could get Francisco Lindor without trading Corey Seager, and that's what I mean by the evil empire with the Los Angeles Dodgers. If they get Francisco Lindor, 1, they're scary, but 2, if they also keep Corey Seager and get him, wow, you move Seager to third, Lindor at short. Oh my gosh, this is just this is a nightmare scenario. You could see why I'm so scared. There's a lot of talent that the Dodgers have. They have a plethora of it, and the Indians would love to get just a little bit back, I'm sure, for Francisco Lindor. Yeah, if they get Lindor, easy World Series favorites. I don't think I'll pick the Mets next year if that's the case. Now, to talk about the other LA team, the LA Angels, I think there's a shot that the Angels could be in the market for Francisco Lindor. Now, we know the Angels are going to need a shortstop, and while there are some good options on the free agent market right now, of course, you'd probably like to have Francisco Lindor to pair up with Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, Shohei Ohtani, David Fletcher. They got a pretty good team offensively. Simmons, free agent, so he's gone. You could get Marcus Semien, you could get Didi, but we know Lindor's the best option. Who could the Angels reasonably trade? Well, in their farm system, they do have some young outfielders. Now, I don't know if Joe Adell is a guy that would even come up in this trade, and if they say yes or no. He's still got too much promise to really be given up for a guy on a 1-year deal, but maybe a guy like Jordan Adams, Brandon Marsh, Jahmai Jones. They have a lot of close to MLB ready prospects that don't really have a spot in their team right now that they could definitely put in a trade. I don't think the Angels are going to have one of the best packages, probably one of the worst, but I think their name still comes up in conversation, still comes up in talks as a possible landing spot for Lindor. All right, let's switch it back to the East Coast now. Philadelphia Phillies of the NL East. The Phillies are going to need a shortstop as well. Didi Gregorius, free agent this year. There's not a lot of shortstop shortstop promise right now in their farm system to really take over. Scott Kingery's not going to be the guy. You don't really want to play Gene Segura at shortstop every day. Lindor could be a guy they grab. Now again, the Phillies I don't think have one of the best packages, and they are going to need to give up a lot. I'm thinking Spencer Howard's probably going to have to be in that trade, and maybe a guy like Bryson Stott and a couple other players that could be sprinkled in there. I don't think they necessarily have the best package, but obviously we know how important Francisco Lindor can be to that team. Is that their main concern? No. Shortstop isn't the reason why they haven't been making the playoffs the last few years. It's because they have little to no pitching. And that's why I don't think that the Phillies should make this trade, but I think there is a world where the Phillies are trying to make a splash and grab Francisco Lindor, grab another huge piece to build around Bryce Harper with. Got Alec Bohm at third base, maybe needs a little help defensively. Lindor's got a great glove. He can help Bohm out there on the left side of the infield. I think out of all the 10 teams, this is probably my least likely destination, but there is a way to draw up the Phillies getting Francisco Lindor. Staying in the National League, this time going to the Central, Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds and the Indians have made some trades over the years. I mean, Trevor Bauer coming over to the Reds from the Indians, that was a pretty big one, and Francisco Lindor makes a lot of sense for the Cincinnati Reds. They need a shortstop, they kind of need another franchise guy over there, and they got a lot of guys they can trade. Now, I don't see them moving any of their top 3 prospects. I don't see Lodolo, Hunter Green, or Austin Hendrick getting traded, but you start to dive a little bit deeper into their prospect pool. One, you're going to be moving Nick Senzel, without a doubt. I think Nick Senzel would have to be included in this trade. Jonathan India is probably getting included in this trade as well. Jose Garcia might be in there. Maybe a guy like Tony Santillan, who's a little bit deeper down, but is a pitching prospect, has some good stuff, and maybe even throwing a guy like Aristides Aquino, because of course the Indians need outfield help. The Reds have a ton of players that can definitely be moved. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to pull the trigger there, because of course with the Reds, the big thing is going to have to be re-signing Lindor. And if they don't see a way that they can re-sign him, this trade can't happen. But if they do, the Reds are a very, very possible landing spot for Francisco Lindor in 2021. So I know I mentioned the evil empire a little earlier in this video, but we're going to bring up the OG original empire, the New York Yankees. Yeah, the Yankees could somehow get Francisco Lindor. You probably have to trade Gleyber Torres, and that's a trade I make probably 100 times out of 100. Trade Gleyber Torres for Francisco Lindor? Yeah, you're getting Lindor. He's way better than Gleyber. Gleyber's a great player, but you're getting Francisco Lindor, the best shortstop in baseball. Better defensively. Offensively doesn't necessarily hit as many homers, even though he had 3 straight seasons of 30 plus homers and 30 doubles. People don't seem to remember that. Actually might have been even 40 doubles and steals bases. I mean, he's just far superior to Gleyber Torres. But I think that the Indians are probably going to want a little bit more. You're probably going to have to give Gleyber and maybe a pitching prospect. And if you're not giving up Gleyber, you're going to have to give up Clint Frazier, Clark Schmidt, Davey Garcia, and maybe a couple other players. Maybe they want a Luke Voigt. I can't imagine they want Gary Sanchez, though. I don't think anybody wants that guy. But there are players that the Yankees have that they can get this trade done. I think the easiest way is, of course, trading Gleyber Torres. But do Yankee fans really want to give him up for Francisco Lindor with the option that maybe he doesn't re-sign? I mean, if you're the Yankees and you trade for Lindor and you can't re-sign him, you gotta fire Cashman. That's a terrible job by him, especially if you trade Gleyber. But I'm assuming if you do move Gleyber for Francisco Lindor, Lindor's coming back for the Yankees to finish his career there. So you've been wanting that big bat off the free agent market recently. You got Garrett Cole. Unfortunately, you're paying Giancarlo Stanton a ton of money. Francisco Lindor could be an answer. It's just a matter of whether or not the Yankees want to pull the trigger. Because if they want him, I'm pretty sure they could get him. I hate that, by the way. I don't want to root against Francisco Lindor. And I've seen some of the jersey swaps. I hate to admit it. He looks really good in the pinstripes. Okay, let's flip it back to the National League Central. St. Louis Cardinals. Now, yes, Paul DeJong is the shortstop of the Cardinals, but you might be able to trade Paul DeJong along with some other pieces to get Francisco Lindor. DeJong is a good player. Let's put that out there. Everyone knows that it's just a matter of time before Paul DeJong finally breaks through and becomes the player that we know he can. He's got crazy power. He's a really good fielder. He's just got to put it together for a full season. He has stretches where he's incredibly hot and he's one of the toughest outs in baseball, and then he also gets incredibly cold. A little bit of consistency, he can be a really good player. The Cardinals also have a plethora of outfielders. Dylan Carlson, Harrison Bader, Tyler O'Neill, Tommy Edman can play the outfield. I'm sure I'm forgetting some guys. They got a lot of outfield bats as well. They grabbed Matt Liberatore last year in the Randy Arozarena trade. Maybe you move him and try to get something back for him. They got a lot of young pitchers, Alex Reyes, Dakota Hudson. None of these guys are top premier guys, but there is stuff there, and we know what the Indians can do with pitchers. The Cardinals are a quiet team that I think could maybe make a move for Francisco Lindor. Do they end up doing it? Probably not. But in my eyes, the Cardinals have a path to Francisco Lindor, and he would be a great pickup. He is an improvement over Paul DeJong, let's be honest. Now, for the 8th team of our video, we're going to go to the East Coast, north of the border, the Toronto Blue Jays. And for my editor who's editing this video right now, I know you're excited to hear your favorite team, the Toronto Blue Jays, in this video. There's a chance the Blue Jays get Francisco Lindor. Again, the hard thing is going to be re-signing him. It's always hard to get players to sign big contracts in Toronto for 2 reasons. One, you're living in Toronto. It's a different country, Canada. And no, it's not much different than the United States, but still, gotta live in Canada. It is a little different. And 2, the taxes kill players over there. The money that you get is a lot less than it would be in America in a lot of places because of the Canadian taxes. But also, you're going to be on a really good young team that's going to be competing for a long time. And the Blue Jays have pieces to trade. Now, I don't think Nate Pearson goes anywhere. I think he's untouchable. But if you get Francisco Lindor, you gotta think Jordan Groshans is going to be on the move. move. He's their number 3 prospect in the organization, a shortstop as well, because of course you have Lindor at shortstop. You're probably moving Bo Bichette third since Vlad Jr.'s at first and Kevin Biggio's at second, but that infield sounds scary good. I saw a rumor that maybe Alejandro Kirk would be in this trade. Yeah, he's the 6th overall prospect, but we know he's not going to be anything in the top 5 catchers in the league. I don't know if he really has that much value. Still though, maybe he's there. Maybe a guy like Alek Manoah, I wouldn't trade him, but he could be involved. Lourdes Gurriel's name has popped up in the trades. I mean, the Blue Jays have a lot of really good young players who can help out the Indians, and the Indians need that help. But like many other teams, the Blue Jays have to consider the pros and cons. Yes, you get Lindor for 2021, and he would help you compete that season. You'd make them a much better team, but will they be able to keep him? Because if you're trading Groshans and you're trading all these other players, especially for the Blue Jays, you gotta make sure you keep Lindor. And if you do, wow, Bichette, Lindor, Biggio, and Guerrero in the infield, that team's gonna be so much fun to watch. For the penultimate team, second to last, fancy words, Atlanta Braves. Now, the Atlanta Braves are interesting because this doesn't feel like a move the Braves would make, but it also does. Dansby Swanson had a good season last year, and Dansby Swanson looks like he's gonna be a nice little player. It's just taking him a few years to develop. Indians want some guys with control. You could get Dansby Swanson for a few years of control, put him at shortstop. That's a decent swap at least. You got a guy who's there right now who can play. The Braves also have a ton of young outfielders, which, oh, the Indians need outfielders. One of Pache or Waters could maybe be on the move. And the Braves also have a ton of catching. Shea Langoliers, William Contreras, and they've also got a ton of pitching. I mean, listen to these pitching prospects that they got. Ian Anderson, I mean, he's not moving. Kyle Muller, Tucker Davidson, Jared Schuster, Jaciel De La Cruz. Those are 4 guys not named Ian Anderson that are in the top 10 prospects in their organization. Not to mention guys like Kyle Wright and Bryce Wilson. They have a sick amount of players they can trade, and it really wouldn't hurt their team because grabbing Francisco Lindor would be a lot better than the guys that they lose. So yeah, the Braves, I don't know if this is the move that they're willing to make, but whoa, this could shake up the division a lot, and the Braves could really just separate themselves from the rest of the team in the NL East if they grab Francisco Lindor. Great fielder, great bat. In that lineup, Acuna, Freeman, Albies, Lindor. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare as well for a Mets fan. And then the last and final team, which is also another team in the NL East, the Miami Marlins are my sneaky pick to get Francisco Lindor. There's a lot of things that make sense here as to why he's the perfect fit for the Marlins and should be the guy that they build their franchise around for the future. The Marlins, we know, have not been spending money. They got rid of anybody who was anyone, and they didn't want to spend money, but they got it. And there is a player in Francisco Lindor who they should invest all their money into, and they should invest some players and get them now. You get Francisco Lindor now, you make it easier to re-sign. You wait till the free agency market, which again, could still happen, it could still sign then. It becomes a little bit harder because you have more competition, but the Marlins got players to move. Now, I don't think that Sixto, JJ Bleday, or Max Meyer are available, but I think Jazz Chisholm would be in this move, shortstop prospect. Jesus Sanchez, Monte Harrison, one of those two is going to have to be involved. I think you probably throw Isan Diaz in there as well. Lewin Diaz might be involved. You got Edward Cabrera, Braxton Garrett, Trevor Rogers. They've got a lot of players that they can move that can definitely land them Francisco Lindor, and I feel like nobody's talking about it. Also, Lindor, Florida kid. I know he's from Puerto Rico, but he went to high school at Montverde Academy in Florida. I know you're not supposed to look into that kind of stuff too much, but what better way for the Marlins to rebuild their franchise, get people excited about their team, get fans in seats, than get a Florida kid, went to high school in Florida, Puerto Rican, for what is a huge Latin population in Miami, make him the star of your team, Francisco Lindor? I would think that has to get people at the games. He's exciting, he's got flair, he fits perfectly in Miami. Francisco Lindor, the Marlins, is a perfect fit to me. And that is the sneaky, scary team that I think we're going to see at some point be in talks to possibly trade for Francisco Lindor. And I just want to say, you heard it here first. So those are the 10 teams that I think have a legitimate shot to land Francisco Lindor this offseason in a trade. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Which team do you think ends up trading for Lindor? Did I mention them in this video? Maybe I left them out. I want to know what you got to say. Make sure to drop a like on this video if you do enjoy it. 3,000 likes, I'll do a video like this with JT Realmuto. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content and you want to see more of it, trying to hit 200K by the end of the year. Drop me a follow on Twitter, Instagram, second channel, Twitch, links in the description. And of course, we're running a little promo on the merch. What did I say? 25% off? It's going to be cheaper. 25% off, sure. 25% off the merch. Go buy it before it runs out. We got new merch on the way. Thank you guys so much for watching. You know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This video, it's not my most recent upload. It's the Trevor Bauer one. Where's Trevor Bauer going to sign? Look at the 10 teams that might sign him. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I do appreciate you, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye.